I think this is the best one we've made yet. Hi, and welcome to the Homestead. In this case, the Homestead kitchen. We had a hankering for goat cheese, so we thought it would be a perfect opportunity to share our recipe for chevre. For those of you not familiar with chevre, it is a soft, fresh, really mild goat cheese that also happens to be really quick and easy to make. We are going to be starting with 1 gallon of frozen goat's milk. You can of course use fresh goat's milk, but we are using frozen because we just don't have any dozen milk right now. So this is milk that we froze from our previous milking season for such a time as this. You will also need a Mesophilic cheese culture. You can use any Mesophilic culture, but we have had our best success with the MM100 from New England Cheesemaking Supply Co. We get all of our cheesemaking supplies from them, and like I said, I've had really good success with this and really with all of their supplies. You will also need a thermometer, animal rennet, and calcium chloride. For raw milk, the calcium chloride is completely optional. We've had really good success using it. But if you're using pasteurized milk, then the calcium chloride is an absolute must. You will also want a super nifty set of super teeny tiny cute measuring spoons and a stainless steel stirring utensil. Also, 1 large pot, which we are also using to sanitize our equipment. You can sanitize it in any method that you prefer. We have found that we like to do boiling water in our big pot. We put all of our utensils in there and boom, everything's sanitized. So I'm going to go get our utensils sanitized and I will meet you back when it's time to warm up the milk. So I finished sanitizing the equipment and laid it out on a clean paper towel. Go ahead, dump out the water from your pot and add in your frozen goat's milk. We're gonna heat this over low heat, nice and slow, to about 72 degrees. And go ahead and give it a stir every now and again, just to make sure that heat's getting nice and evenly distributed. This is going to take a little while, so it's a good time to get ready for the next step. You're going to want 2 small containers. I use these really super cute little mason jars, which are also sanitized, and a total of 1/2 cup of cool, clean, non-chlorinated water. It is extra important that the water is non-chlorinated, otherwise you risk ruining the enzymes from the rennet and not actually having cheese, which would be really, really sad. It's also a good time to be thinking about what things you might want to add to your goat cheese. So far, we've only ever made just regular plain goat cheese because it is so delicious. But we're going to try something different this time, and we're going to make a cranberry pecan as well as a garlic and chive goat cheese, which I'm very excited about. Something else that I forgot to mention earlier was, although this is a really quick cheese to make in the scheme of things, it does take about 1.5 days. Don't be scared. Most of that time is the milk just sitting, becoming cheese. It's still really easy. Our milk is up to temperature, so it's time to add in the calcium chloride if you're choosing to use it for your raw milk, animal rennet, and our culture. We're going to start with just a few tablespoons in one of our cute little jars of our cool, clean, non-chlorinated water. We're going to carefully add 2 drops of calcium chloride. Okay. We're going to go ahead and add that in and stir for 30 seconds. It's important that you add the calcium chloride first. Next up is the animal rennet. So same thing, we're going to start with just a few tablespoons of our cool, clean, non-chlorinated water and 2 drops of the animal rennet. Vegetable rennet is another option for cheese making, but we've really had better success with animal rennet. So I think I misspoke and said that we're doing the animal rennet next. Actually, we're doing our MM100 culture next. You need 1 32nd teaspoon. And you thought these were just cute. So 1 32nd. And we're just going to sprinkle it over the top, and it's going to sit for 2 minutes. You want to sprinkle it over and not dump it to prevent any caking. All right, and now 2 minutes. So it's been 2 minutes since we sprinkled in the MM100. We're going to go ahead and add our 2 drops of animal rennet. So again, we have just a couple of tablespoons of our cool, clean, non-chlorinated water. We're going to carefully add 2 drops of animal rennet. And 2. I'm going to pour that in and stir for another 30 seconds. The animal rennet is all stirred in. The next step here is just to cover it and leave it in a room temperature, not drafty area. In the summertime, we'll just cover the pot and leave it on the countertop. Since it's cooler right now, we're going to put it in the oven with the oven light on, and that should keep it a good temperature to hold it at that 72-ish degrees. If it varies a couple of degrees in either direction, it's not going to make or break your cheese. We're going to let it sit in the oven for 12 to 20 hours or until we have a clean break on our curd, which we will talk about more tomorrow. So it's the next day and our cheese has been sitting in the oven covered for about 14 hours now, and it's time to start the draining process. For this step, you're going to want your same big spoon from last night. It's a nice big slotted spoon, that's important. A knife to test for clean break. We'll talk about that more in a minute. A big bowl to scoop your curd into, and butter muslin or cheesecloth. We prefer butter muslin because it's a little bit finer than cheesecloth, and it's also washable and reusable, which is a huge plus. So I've sanitized all of my equipment, including the butter muslin, using the same boiling water method that we talked about last night. And we know that it's time to drain our cheese because the curd is pulled away from the sides. There's a clear separation between the whey and the curd, and we're also going to test for a clean break. So let's go in and show you what that looks like now. So we're going to test for the clean break. Again, like I mentioned just a moment earlier, you can see there's a layer of whey over the curd, and the curd's pulled away from the sides of the pot. So we're just going to take our knife and cut into the curd a little bit. And you can see it cuts cleanly, there's not a jagged edge, and it fills back in with whey. This one might have set up just a little bit firm. We probably could have started draining it a couple hours ago, but we're going to go ahead, scoop it out, and it should still make a really nice cheese. So I took my butter muslin out of our hot water and draped it over the bowl. We're just going to scoop the curd into the butter muslin and get ready to hang it. There are a couple of options for how to hang your cheese curd. For us, the thing that we found works the best is actually to hang it from our pot rack. So if you have one of those, that's a really great option. If not, you can find creative ways to drain your cheese. We have used a colander placed in just a large pan, like a 9x13, or just in a large bowl. You can do a makeshift hanger just using a wooden spoon and kind of placing it over top of a deep pot. The key is just to make sure that the whey can drain away fully from the curd. So if you're using any sort of a container to hang your curd over, just make sure that you're emptying it really frequently. We're going to let this hang for probably about 6 to 8 hours. The drier the cheese is, the more tangy it will be. The moister your cheese is, the shorter the shelf life is going to be. I have all of my curd scooped into my bowl here, and I'm just going to pull up the 4 corners of my butter muslin to make a big knot to hang it up by. I'm going to draw up our 4 corners. And just do your best to get all 4 ends back through the hole. You want enough left over to be able to make another small knot to hang it by. One, 2, 3. Looks like we got all 4. Okay. I'm just going to take 2 of those corners that we pulled through and tie those together to make a little knot to hang from my pot rack. And you'll see also that I have a just a baking sheet underneath this bowl. It will kind of splatter as the whey drains and just helps keep things a little bit more tidy. So I have my hook all attached to my cheese. We're going to go ahead and hang it up. The cheese has been draining here for between 4 and 5 hours. So I'm going to take it down, give it a little stir to distribute the moisture a little bit more evenly, and we'll see where we're at. Okay, the cheese is all unwrapped. I'm going to take my clean spoon and just kind of stir it around and see where we're at. So I always like to take it down, like I said, just to distribute the moisture. When it's hanging for too long without stirring, there can be just kind of pockets of moisture that get stuck on top. And it's kind of fun to look and see what your curd looks like. So we're just going to get this wrapped back up, let it hang for a few more hours, and in the meantime, I'm going to get our mix-ins ready. Also, going to get some salt. You're going to want fine cheese salt for this. You can buy it with your other cheese making supplies, but what we do is just use regular kosher salt and just blend it up, like in a little kind of single serve blender thing to get it nice and fine, and that works really well for us. Just whatever salt you choose to use, make sure it is not iodized. That's the important part. So use kosher salt or sea salt. Okay, this is all tied back up. We're gonna hang it and we'll see you back in a couple hours. Okay, so the cheese has hung for a few more hours. I took it down from my nifty little rack, and let's see what we have inside. Now that the cheese is completely done draining, you can figure out what you want to do with your whey. The one thing that I would suggest though is definitely not throwing it away. You can do all sorts of things with whey. You can bake with it, you can add it to soup stocks. I haven't done that much with whey, but one of my favorite things to do is to add it to smoothies. It gives a really nice tangy flavor, and it's a little bit of protein too. Our animals really love it. Ada drinks the heck out of whey. She loves it. And we give it to the chickens. We gave it to the turkeys. There are a multitude of ways that you can use it. So again, I would just suggest using it. So we're stirring up the cheese. It looks absolutely beautiful. And the next step, and one of the final steps now, is just to salt it. So we're going to use that extra fine salt that I talked about before. This is the kosher salt that we just blended up into a really nice fine powder. I forgot my spoon. And we're going to do 2 teaspoons. The salt is important not just for flavor, but it also inhibits acid production, because the cheese is still alive. So we're just going to give that a good stirring, and then we're going to get ready to add in our fun stuff. So I'm going to take part of this cheese and just leave it as is because it really is so yummy. And a couple of ideas that we have for serving that is with a little drizzle of honey. We have a fig jam that we think will be really good with it. A jalapeno jelly that Anthony made not too long ago, and or just by itself. It really is just a really pleasant, mild, creamy cheese. This is the consistency that you're going for. It holds together, but is a little on the drier side, a little bit crumbly. To me, looking at this, it is an absolutely beautiful goat cheese. I think this is the best one we've made yet. Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked it and you would like to see more content like this, please like, subscribe, and if you want to be the first one to see our next video, hit the little bell next to the subscribe button. We loved being with you here today, and we look forward to seeing you next time here at the Homestead.
What have you been doing all day? Not too bad.